Alright guys, so today we have MXGP 24 news. We have some good and we have some bad. Now, I'm going to save the good for last and go over the bad, but more concerning. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to happen, but it is definitely concerning. So, this game is MXGP 2021, if you were curious, but MXGP 24, which you probably have heard by now, will be releasing at the end of this year. We don't know exactly when that will be. Some people are thinking it might be December. We really don't know for sure, but it was recently announced that KT Racing is the studio that will be behind developing MXGP 24. And we already had some concerns, but there could be a delay coming. Could be. Maybe not. That is just a speculation. But KT Racing, I do believe, has went on strike. Now, this was a week or two ago. I believe it was probably 2 weeks about by the time you see this video. It was first announced, I believe, from, I'm not sure how you would say this, but Traxxon. It's a media outlet. They announced it. They were the first ones I saw announce it, that KT Racing, the studio, has went on strike in support of a sister studio, Spiders, who I do believe is responsible for Greedfall, if you know that game. And they were doing Greedfall 2 maybe. But they've went on strike, and it's the typical, working conditions, maybe wages and communication. They're not happy with Nacon. So KT Racing has went on strike in support of Spiders, their sister studio. So, one thing it didn't go over and it didn't say is we don't know if that's going to be a full, everybody that works for the studio strike. I would be willing to bet it probably isn't everybody, but it for sure doesn't help. Now, one thing I do want to mention is KT Racing, I think, has actually went on strike twice in roughly the last year. I believe they went on strike sometime in the summer of last year, too. I don't know what that was for exactly, but it did definitely happen. So this is really concerning news for MXGP 24. I know I saw somebody in the comments say they talked to a dev one time. I don't think it was a dev from KT Racing, but they did say they did talk to a dev one time, and they said that if you're expecting a game at the end of the year but haven't seen or heard anything about the game during the summer, not to expect much. Now, that is just probably a general rule of thumb. It doesn't mean it will affect this game, but it definitely isn't good. Now, I believe KT Racing, I don't really follow car games, but I believe they were developing or making a car game of some sort, an open world car game similar to like a Forza maybe, Test Drive? Was it Test Drive? And that game, by the time you see this video, I'm pretty sure it full released, but early access, I believe some people were paying $90 for that game, and when they tried to play it, it didn't work. It was during the strike. The servers weren't working. It's an online-only game, which I'm not a huge fan of, but it didn't even work. Now, supposedly those people are going to be compensated in-game somehow, but it's just probably it was affected by the strike. Now, again, I doubt everybody in the company is participating in that strike, and maybe nobody from MXGP is participating in it. And you would assume, a bunch of people were saying that you probably would have to assume, even if there's different departments in the studio, a majority of people, all hands on deck, were working towards the test drive car game. So, I don't know. It's just, there's so much around this game that is concerning to me with the studio and whatnot. I'm not too familiar with KT Racing. I don't believe I've ever played a game by them before. I know some of you guys have said that you have, and I know looking at the comments, it's pretty split. I see some people saying they're familiar with the company, they play their games, they trust they'll do good. They did good with the rally games that they've done, or the street bike games or whatever. But then I've seen some other people say, yes, I'm familiar with their games, and I am concerned because they felt like it was going to probably be a game where it was really gorgeous, it was really pretty, the graphics were awesome, but the physics might not be good. It might not be a fun game to play. And we've talked about that here. If you're familiar with the channel, I say if the physics suck, the game sucks. It has to have somewhat enjoyable physics. So I don't really know who's going to be right. I'm going to be optimistic about it and keep the hopes of it will be a good game. I know a bunch of people just want to be negative, and that's fine if you want to be negative, but I want to believe it's going to be a decent game. I don't necessarily believe it's going to be an amazing game because it's the first time, as far as I know, that they're doing a dirt bike game, so to come up with the dirt bike physics is a little bit different than, things that are on, like, hardtop, where you're not really jumping too much. I know, like, rally stuff probably has some jumping and whatnot, but not like a dirt bike. So they don't have to come out with a perfect game. They just need to come out with an acceptable game that over the next 4 years they can make really, really good. Now moving on to the good news. We know that Traction broke the news about the strike. Well, they also did get to see the game, probably at Gamescom. And here they say, right here, we know that November is when the game is planned to release. We don't have an exact day, but we do know they're aiming for November. Also does say that they've been developing the game for about 10 months, which surprises me a bit. I thought maybe they would have been working on it longer, but 10 months. So 10 months for development so far. Bike detail appeared to be just as good or better than any other MXGP game. Now, this would be a pretty big one for me and probably you in the community, that there is going to be terrain deformation. They were pretty proud of it. They said it will affect the physics of your rider, the one you control, and the AI-controlled riders as well. So, terrain deformation, definitely in the game. It will have different weather. Rain is an option. Like past MXGP games, we will have quick race, time attack, season modes, and a full career. For the career, it looks like you do some junior races for a fictional team and then sign up for a real-world MX2 team, with the main goal being to become an MXGP champion. Now, this part does concern me a little bit. They didn't get to play the game. It was more of a presentation, it sounds like, but the physics, they didn't have the whips and the scrubs in the demo, but they said they'd be added in later. I don't know what that means. Does that mean that the bike has free physics, but maybe the animations aren't there yet? Or does that mean it's going to be kind of a push button whip? Are they going to kind of do something similar to what Milestone did with the, push the sticks together, pull them apart whip? I suppose the way it's worded is why it concerns me. But it could just be that maybe they don't have the animations completely finished for the free whips or scrubs. I don't know. But that's a little bit concerning. We'll just have to wait and see. The online multiplayer is also kind of weird how they're deciding to do it. They said it won't be a traditional browser. More of you have challenges that you need to do, daily challenge mode. And then you can do those against 9 other players. So you still have multiplayer, but I don't know. It's just kind of a different way to do it, I guess. But it does say the development team sets up the format every 24 hours. So is this going to be an online-only game? Are we looking at another online-only game, or what does that mean? Because I don't know. I feel like it could be online-only. Same what they did with the test drive car game, which I'm not a big fan of. I hope that isn't what they decide to do, but makes you wonder. And then we have the compound. It doesn't say it's a compound, but it's a compound. It will have 6 tracks in it and some other stuff to do. Now, the way the game is so far, or from what they've said, it sounds set up pretty similar to a Milestone game. And, they have to follow some guidelines for it being a fully official licensed MXGP game. So I'm not surprised it does have some similarities to Milestone, but sounds cool. So there you go, some very big news on the new MXGP 24 official game. Now, this news broke a few days ago. I was actually working on this video already, and then this came out, so I had to go back and kind of ended up splicing the videos together to make one video. I removed some other stuff, shortened it up a bit, and then put the new news from Traction at the end here, because this is important. This is really important stuff, and it sounds good for sure. There are some concerns, and I still would be concerned that the strike could affect the game a little bit, and the physics is a bit concerning because they said the whips and scrubs weren't in the game yet, and the multiplayer with the daily challenges, and that sounds possibly like it could be online only. That is a bit concerning to me too, but mostly good news, some concerning. So also a big shout out to, I believe, Linus and Rit. You guys tweeted at me some cover art and the screenshot from Gamescom, which I'm pretty sure is where all this took place. So thank you guys. I appreciate you. I was going to respond to you on Twitter, but I wasn't really sure what I wanted to say. So hopefully you see the video. You guys and girls are absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for the support on the channel lately. It really does mean a lot. And until the next video, take it easy.